Not sure how well this is going to do. The one-handed iPhone shooting doesn't always work, but it's just after 6 in the morning, about 20 after 6 here on Thursday, I think. Yeah, boys are still sleeping. I just went down to the pavilion, grab a coffee, just enjoying the view here out over Kootenay Lake and enjoying life.
Bless my heart, bless my soul. Didn't think I'd make it to 22 years old.
So I finished up my coffee and made my way back to the campsite, at which point the other boys were starting to get up too.
Alright, so now I'm here in sunny Mexico. I was in New York not that long ago. Got back and a week later headed off to Mexico for a little vacation. This time it's a holiday, it's not for work, so. But anyway, while it's nice and sunny here, it was actually nice and sunny on Big Trip 2013 as well. So let's talk about day 4 a little bit. So day 4 we had no trouble with Jeff's bike, and the oil leak seemed to have been all cleared up by the work that was done on day 3, so that was good news. And so we started off the day by heading into the pastry place again at the Balfour Ferry for a few pastries before we hit the road.
Must be somebody up above. Say, come on, Brittany, you got to come on up. You got to hold on. Yeah, you got to hold on.
Due to the issues I had with my bike the day before, our planned route had gone completely out the window. In fact, we weren't even supposed to stay at Toad Rock the previous night. We were planning on being somewhere down in the States by then. We kind of figured at this point, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we decided, you know what, let's just stay one more night at Toad Rock. Let's go do a nice long ride today, some kind of looping route down into the States, and come back and camp at Toad Rock one more night.
So one of the things we'd done on day 3 when we were at the motorbike shop, one of the guys had asked the mechanics or the local shop guys about what kind of ride they like to do when they're in the area. And what they had suggested was actually going to Selmo and then heading south from there and heading into the United States a little bit, into Washington State. And the route was going to take us, you know, south into Washington, just right along the Idaho border, and then over to Colville and back up into Canada via 25. So we decided we were going to try that route.
So it was another delicious breakfast at the Balfour Ferry crossing, and then we pushed south through Nelson and eventually to Selmo, where we stopped to fill up.
You got to hold on. You gotta hold on. You gotta hold on.
So there were a couple of guys, we ran into a few guys at Selmo at the gas station. And it was interesting to me because one of them was on a KLR and there was another guy that was on a Norton, old Norton.
There must have been some kind of rally in the area, because there was all kinds of riders on old Nortons in the area, which was kind of cool. Some of them were really old and really cool. So we stopped and chatted with a couple of the other bikers for a while, and generally just got out of the sun, hung out in the shade, and rehydrated for a bit.
Quick pit stop in Selmo, and we're on our way to the border.
After fueling up, we decided to push south towards the U.S. border crossing, which is what we did. was another really, really hot day, so we took the opportunity at the border crossing to stop and get off the bikes again and stand in the shade for a bit. It was here we met a couple of customs officials, some U.S. border guards. One of them was a canine officer, and we sat there and chatted with them for a while. They were pretty cool.
I've kicked on the brakes and found my walking shoes. I find a way to rig it so that I can't lose. Now I said, darling, yeah, yeah, would you keep on pushing? Would you keep on riding? All you know this time, but I can't leave town. Oh, no, no. Well, I guess I'll spend my days with southern dreaming.
Immediately south of the U.S. border, we thought we'd take our first detour, this road called Sullivan Lake Road. Now, according to the map and the GPS, it's this really nice twisty bit of pavement around a lake. It was a nice twisty bit of road around the lake, but it wasn't pavement, it was all gravel, and pretty fresh gravel too, so the dust got really bad at points. To be quite honest though, I was in the front, so I didn't really care.
Now the Sullivan Lake Road was actually supposed to be paved the whole way, but as it turned out, there was some construction going on, it looked like. And there was a pretty good stretch, maybe 10K or so, where it was gravel. Fortunately, the guys I was riding with didn't mind, and gravel's never bothered me, so we blasted on through, although it was a little dusty there for a while.
Would you keep on riding? All your love is down. Yeah, but I can't leave town. Oh, but I guess I'll spend my days my southern dreaming.
So the Sullivan Lake Road spat us back out at State Road 31, which we then jog south on to Highway 20 and turn west from there to Colville.
We were in northern Washington, right near the Idaho border, and we just kind of tooled around in this area for a while until we started getting hungry again. It was time for a late lunch. We pulled into a town called Colville, I think, and filled up on gas and asked where the best place to eat in town was. A couple people said just down the road there's a place called the Acorn Saloon. Well, it sounded good to us, so we went and checked it out.
Oh, so here we are at the Acorn, and we're just having a couple of beers and some burgers before we hit the road again in Colville. And now it's going to be 25 to the border, I think. So, what do you think of this morning so far?
Good riding. Yep. Had a good chat with the customs agents and the border control agents at the border. It was pretty hassle-free entering into the States. The roads are fabulous roads today, and now we're having lunch and we can head back for the soaking hot springs.
Good answer.
And we hit a bit of gravel that wasn't expected. They were doing a repaving, so we did probably, 10K or more on gravel. Got a little coating of dust on the bikes ourselves, which was fine. Kind of fun. But yeah, good. A little bit of everything today, I'd say. A little bit of everything.
Spirit's still up.
So yeah, the Acorn Saloon was pretty cool. It was a really old building, really old decor. We really enjoyed it. Had good food for good prices too. In fact, I remember looking at the menu and seeing I think it was a 15-ounce ribeye for 13 bucks. I had to order it. Even though it was only lunch, I had to order this giant ribeye that you would never get for that price in Canada. And it was delicious. I didn't finish it, but I did wrap it up in some tin foil and ended up having it around the campfire later that night.
All right, so we stopped at the Safeway in Colville for fuel. And I didn't realize this beforehand, but what's happening in the States is that now when you want to fill at the pump, pay at the pump, you have to put in your zip code. Of course, being from Canada, we don't have zip codes. So what happened was that actually the service station attendant came out and she said, well, all you have to do is put in the numbers that are in your zip code or your postal code in Canada and 2 zeros afterwards, and that'll work. So we tried that, and sure enough, it works. So I've been to the States a few times since Big Trip 2013 and have managed to use that to buy gas. So there's a neat little trick and tip for you.
So after filling up the bikes and our stomachs in Colville, we started making our way back to the Canadian border. some really brilliant roads in this area, especially along the river. We were having a real good time getting into the groove of this ride, just enjoying things.
Southern dreaming.
Along this road that something interesting happened. We were flying along. We thought we were making good time, but the A6 that blew over our heads at about 500 knots was making a lot better time than us. So that was kind of neat. Heard this thundering coming from behind and looked up just in time to catch it on the helmet cam.
So we were riding along, and I bet you I was probably rocking out to the tunes in my helmet, and all of a sudden I heard this huge boom, and it startled me. I tensed up a little bit, and then after I heard this boom, you can see this jet plane just fly right over us and tip its wings and then fly off. It was pretty cool. I think it was an A6. It was a nice little visit from the local U.S. Air Force base.
So we crossed the border at Patterson border crossing. And that's where State Road 25 turns into BC 22. And we headed north from there to Rossland and Trail.
So we crossed back into Canada, no problems there. We made it into Trail, where we thought we'd stop for another little bit of a rest. It had been a pretty long, hot day at this point.
We decided we were going to stop in Trail and have a bit of a break, get a bit of coffee and have a visit. So we were looking for a place to do this, and right away we came across a spot called the Cornerstone Cafe and Deli, I think. And unfortunately it turned out to be closed, but there was still an employee inside, and she was kind enough to come out and give Hammy directions to another place called the Bear's Den, which is more in downtown Trail. So we ended up going to the Bear's Den, having a nice cup of coffee there, and then headed on our way out of Trail back toward Castlegar and Nelson.
Once we made it back to Toad Rock, it was pretty much standard fare for the rest of the evening. We started up the campfire, poured a few rums, sat around and chatted, had a good time.
And all in all, it was a really good day. I had enjoyed day 4 thoroughly. The guys from Nelson's gave us a good route to ride, and you know, we were kind of winging it on this trip a little bit in terms of not having a complete route plan, but we turned out everything was working out really nice. We were getting some good riding in and enjoying everything.
This would be our last night together. The next day I would have to head back to Edmonton. Kif and Hammy would make their way back to Saskatoon, heading south through the States, and Rob had to head west back to his home in Vancouver. So it being our last night together, we had a real good time sitting around the campfire, telling stories, and just having a good time.